Hello and welcome to episode 163 of the Mouses Makes Knitting podcast. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse. I forgot to tell you that last week. And I have some things to share with you today. But first, before I forget, there's a couple of admin-y things I want to do. First and foremost, a reminder about the topping out mail that Belinda and I, little round of applause for myself, I got it right, only because it's written down here, that Belinda and I are running from the 1st of January to the 31st of March this year. The only rule is that you must enter something that was started before the 1st of January this year. You can enter it into both my thread on Ravelry and Belinda's. Belinda is Belinda's Baubles. It's linked down below. If you can't use Ravelry, and I forgot to tell you this last week, you can email it to either of us or both of us, because we are double dipping this year to give you twice the chance of winning a prize. There will be, each month we will both be drawing a pattern prize, and then at the end there's going to be grand prizes from both of us. So that's what I had to tell you about that. The other thing is to do with some podcasts that I have found. So there's a lady that I'm sure most of you know. If you've been to yarn shows in this country, you've probably met Gail. Gail makes bags, and if I had prepared properly, I would have got one of Gail's bags down. But it's currently residing in a box. She makes bags and she is Gail Made by Me on Etsy. Well, I discovered last week that she also has a podcast. It is called Life's a Stitch, and she is Gail Dawkins, and I will link that below as well. And also, and this is a bit of a shout out really, there's a lady called Chris, and Chris has a podcast called Loopy Loop UK. That is going to be linked down below. And my plea is, for everyone who's watching this, I just had a cough sweet, so this wouldn't happen. For everyone who's watching this, to go and subscribe to Chris's channel. Chris has had a truly horrible couple of years, and is very poorly. And on her bucket list, she would like to get to 1,000 subscribers. She's currently got 300, I'm going to say 310. It's around there. So I think if you could all go and subscribe, we could get her on her way towards the 1,000. And if you're watching this and you have a podcast, would you mind giving her a shout out as well? We can't do much to help her, but if we can get her to 1,000 subscribers, we will at least have crossed an item off her bucket list, and it will have cost us nothing but a couple of minutes to go and click a button. Okay, that's all the admin-y bits. I will now get on with some knitting. I have got some things to show you that are finished. I've got some things to show you that are half finished. I'm going to start with a finished thing that you didn't actually know I was knitting. I finished this. What's that, you might be asking? We have not seen that before. Well, you have actually, but it was before Christmas. This is a Cushy Comfort Cowl by Stephen West. And I've made a bit of a mistake. Can you see? Dave said that wasn't too glaringly obvious, but now I see it in the camera, it is. Never mind, it is far too late. So, it's knit in DK. I have chosen to knit it in Yarnsmith's DK. Merino DK. I prepared so well for this, you can tell, can't you? Let me see, because I've got the bag over there waiting to have everything put away properly. Let me just This would be helpful, wouldn't it? Failed yet again. What is it they say? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. I should have that on my tombstone, I think. Yes, so I used Yarnsmith's Merino DK in shade 3074. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. I thought I'd written it down, but maybe I didn't. Nope. I know, I'm doing it again, aren't I? Just, like, ignore me. Oh, I don't know what I've done with it. Never mind. It is 3074. And it might just be called brown. I can't tell you any more than that. I've knit it slightly shorter than the pattern directs because I think it would have been another 2 inches taller, and I think that would have been a bit too long for the recipient. It is lined. The pattern directs you to line it in why has the word gone out of my head? A thick mohair. I can't remember. Thick mohair. We're going to go with that. But I knew that the person that this is for would not tolerate thick mohair. So I used this. It is World of Wool ALT yarn, and it is 100% bamboo 4-ply. The colourway I used is Academic, which is AYS 11, which is this really nice, rich, royally blue, and I held it double. I also made a slight adaptation to the pattern because when I finished it, it looked a bit, I don't know the quite the right word. It just looked a bit unfinished. I hadn't blocked it or anything. I still haven't blocked it, but I was concerned that as it was put on and off, because essentially it's just a tube that's joined together, that it would roll and you'd end up with the inside on the outside and so on. So what I did was I went round at the bottom of each rib. I went round and I just very carefully stitched through to the other side to hold the ribs in their place, and I did that on top and bottom, and I think it's worked very well. So apart from my little whoopsie back there where I cabled on a row where I shouldn't have cabled, I'm 100% pleased with it. That has upset me a little bit, but that was right at the very beginning, so yeah, I'm not taking it all down to correct that. So that's one finished object. Second finish of the year, I think. Then I have some half finished objects before I show you another finished object. I currently have, just by the way things have worked out, a lot of socks on the needles. I have this pair. This is only one of them, obviously. I have done the rib on the second sock, and that's all so far. But this is Owl by West Yorkshire Spinners. Their toe and heel is Cinnamon Stick, also by West Yorkshire Spinners. And this will be, when I finish the other one, my entry into Little Likac's Soxy and You Know It knit along for January. Then I had an advent that was a stripe a day sock advent, and I knit 2 sock tubes. It came in 2 50-gram skeins, which I caked up and knit 2 sock tubes from, and one of those tubes I have divided and made 3 socks. So they get slightly shorter as I moved up the thing. So this was the first one, the Advent. So this main yarn was Spin and Leather's Fleece Navidad. The cuff, toe and heel on this sock are Drops Fable. I want to say 109. No, this isn't 109. And I don't think it's Drops Fable either. Ignore that. Never mind. I'll tell you when I finish the other one. Then this is the second sock. Again, same sock tube. This is 109. It's more of a teal, if I show you them together. This is Drops Fable in pink. And this is Drops Fable in burgundy. What did I say earlier about failing to prepare? And then this is the third sock, which was actually from the beginning of my sock tube, because I cast on the tubes and automatically started ribbing, because that's what I do when I do a sock. So I just used the ribbing that I'd already done and added heel and toes in the Drops Fable. So I should get, well, I will get 3 pairs of socks out of that sock tube Advent, which I'm very pleased about, and I will certainly do the same again next year. If I get the same Advent, and I'm hoping to, I will do the same next year. I have enjoyed it. I enjoyed knitting the tube. I enjoyed splitting it up. Constantly knitting the same heel and toe did get a little bit wearing, I won't lie. But 3 pairs of socks. Well, we're on the subject of socks. Actually, I might borrow this sock blocker for it. I could do that, couldn't I? I'm also entering the Sox-a-Long, run by Soxy Nana Alice and Diane from My Pink Bathtub. And this is my entry into that knit along. You have to ignore the cable. This is the Dancing Droplet Socks by Stephen West, and I haven't done much more than when you saw them last week, because I've been suffering a little bit from the same thing that happens to me when I knit a sweater. With a sweater, I knit the yoke and it's all exciting because there's maybe some pattern, but there's certainly all the shaping going on. And then I divide for the armholes and I don't really want to knit it anymore because I'm bored. Well, that's happened with this sock. I sped through the cuff and the leg in about 2 hours maximum. Put in the heel, started working the foot, and I was doing, when you saw it last week, I had a reverse stocking stitch on the top and stocking stitch for the sole, and I didn't like it. I liked the way the yarn was coming out on the sole much more. So I had this mad idea that rather than pull it all back, because it would have meant pulling back all the gusset, I thought I will drop it down a stitch at a time and change it to stocking stitch. It took me nearly 3 hours. I think it might actually have been quicker if I'd pulled it back. I still can't believe it took so long. There were 20 rows and 32 stitches, and it just took me forever. And it's kind of put me off the sock again. So I've done, I think, I say there were 20 rows. So I must have done 7 rows. Since I fixed it, it wasn't really broken. I just changed what I was doing. So this is what I have so far. Of all the socks that I have on the needles, this is the one that's seen the least attention because it's got boring. So I'm going to set myself a challenge to have all these pairs of socks finished by the time I see you next week. So I've got one whole long man's sock to knit, 3 heels, 3 toes and 2 ribs on the rest of my sock tube socks, and a sock and a half of this to get done. And I just have to man up and crack on with it. I shouldn't say man up really, should I? I'll just have to pull my socks up. Oh, I didn't tell you what the yarn was. The yarn is my own Mousewitch Yarns in the Sunrise from Glastonbury tour colourway. That was day 25 of the Advent this year. So that is that. Now I have a small triumph. I don't actually have a small triumph. My husband has 2 very large triumphs. I used to have a small triumph, but it was many, many, many years ago. I'm talking about motorcycles now. I will drag myself back to knitting. Look what is off the needles. Ta-da! It's not finished because I haven't blocked it, because I finished knitting it last night. I've sewn all the ends in, but I have not blocked it. So my summer sorbet tee is off the needles and it fits. This is the first one I've knit and finished, and it fits really, really nicely. So this may replace the rocket tee in my affections. I know. I do love the rocket tee because it's got the V-neck, so you don't get too hot in it. Right. Drag myself back from that tangent. I've left the stitch marker in because I haven't blocked it yet. That's where I was when you saw it last week, so I literally only had this much to do. From there to there. I'm going to measure how much that is. A little over 4.5 inches. And this has been on the needles since September 2023. I'm going to take that stitch marker off now because I don't need it there anymore. I powered through it basically by having a Star Trek marathon. Because it was just stocking stitch and I didn't need to look at what I was doing. I was just watching the television and knitting away, and I could feel, I helical knit it. I could feel when I needed to change strands. Sometimes I had to tink back a couple of stitches. But yeah, I'm so pleased with myself for cracking on and getting it finished. The yarn is my own again. I do knit with other people's yarn. Well, there's only 2 things here today that I've knit with my own yarn. This was back in 2023. The monthly colour ways were inspired by Dear Designs Year of the Sock. I'm so sorry. There's a helicopter, and the fact that I can hear a helicopter has just sucked all my attention away. can't even see it. Right, it's gone now. Yes, 2023's colourways each month were inspired by Denise from Dear Designs Year of the Sock. This was the July colourway, and I think it was Marvel Films was the clue for July, and this was from Wakanda Forever. And this was a batch that I kept for myself because it was a bit too heavy on the burgundy. But I love all the colours in it. I don't know if you, let me see, sometimes if I do this, I'm doing that thing where I start half a sentence and don't finish it because my brain's whizzing away faster than my mouth can keep up. I don't know if you can see all the colours. There's golds and greens and burgundies. It's blowing out a little bit. But I shall block it and I will try and remember and wear it next week so you can see. It fits really nicely. I was a bit worried that it wasn't going to be long enough because I was running out of yarn. I only had 300 grams, which I know is plenty for a rocket tee for me, but then you're not knitting quite a large area that you are with this sweater because it's a round neck. So I was getting close to running out of yarn, and I had this much left, which I'm going to say is probably under 20 grams. Let me have a look. Yeah, about 16.5 grams left. So I'm going to stick that in my jar of leftovers. The pattern is the Summer Sorbet. It's by Lee Amber Knits. Sorry, I'm trying to find the front page to show you. No, I'm going the wrong way. Summer Sorbet tee, and I think I knit size 6. Are we 1, 2, 3? Yeah, size 6. I usually knit size 6 in most patterns. So I made it quite a bit longer than it is on the pattern because I didn't want it sort of resting on the top of my hip bones. I have quite a high waist and there are 2 flattering lengths on me, and that is not one of them. One is literally just below my bust, which is kind of where my waist is these days. I think some things have gone south and some things have come north, so yeah. My waist is not where it once was. And the other is to go past there. So we went past there with this. Yeah, I really love it. And I'm already thinking about what other colours I could make it in. I've got some yarn that I want to use this year. But I've also got patterns that I have specified. So I might not actually get another one cast on this year. We'll have to wait and see what happens. The only other thing I've been working on is my mitered square blanket, the one that I'm calling my colour play blanket, which was that was my pick of old whips to work on in January, and this is the other. And I can't remember how much I had done. I think, was I on this square or was I on this one? I haven't done much. I worked on this when I've been on Zoom. Not much has been done, but this is the beginning of the last row. So I've got, let me see, I think it was 8. Yeah, I've got 8 squares left to go. And then I've decided, because apparently I am a glutton for punishment, that I want to put an I-cord border on it. And I'm going to try and do that as I go. So rather than knit a row all the way around it and then go all the way round picking it up and I-cording it, I want to do it as I go. And I think I can do that. Time will tell. So I could pick something else out of the jar because I finished my summer sorbet tea. According to my own rules, I finished 2 things that were on my list of whips that were brought forward, so I could cast something new on. But I'm really enjoying the feeling of bringing the list down. I'm back down to 33 whips. The sock tube socks I'm counting as 1 whip because the sock tube was 1 whip. So I'm back down to 33, which I would like to keep bringing down. There is rumours of a cast-on party in the spring. So I think what I'm going to do is just keep concentrating on bringing my whips down, my whip count down. And then at the cast-on party, possibly cast on all 4 projects with my 4 advents that are sitting in bags over there waiting for me to cast them on. And I can do that guilt-free because I will have spent however many weeks bringing down the whip count. So that's my plan at the moment. If it comes to next Tuesday, I record on a Tuesday, and I've finished all the socks and I've finished the blanket, if there's been some kind of a miracle, then I'll pick early for February, which would be okay because February is a shorter month. So we'll see what happens next week. But I've got plenty to be getting on with this blanket. Each square takes about an hour. So there's certainly 8 hours worth of squares to be knit, and then however long the I-cord's going to take me. This is the longest edge. So there's 2 of those, and then there's 2 shortest edges. But I think probably a long edge and a short edge. That's maybe a Stephen West shawl length of I-cord. I don't think it's too hideously unachievable. I think I can do that. So that is the state of play as it stands today. I haven't done that for a while, have I? I've spent a lot of time this week thinking about what blankets I'm going to knit with my new yarn club yarns for this year. And I know what I'm doing with my Advent Revisited skeins. I'm not sure what I'm doing with the 2 mystery clubs, the minis and the full skein. I have a couple of ideas, but I just can't settle to one. And I'm in the mood, I hate it when I get in this mood, where if I start thinking about it, my brain just keeps, it's like fireworks going off. You could do this or this or this or this or this or this. And I hate myself when I get like that. Because it's annoying. So I'm not rushing into starting anything. I'm waiting to see. I might even just carry on working through my blankets. I've got 2 to cast on with my Advents from last year. I want to do the anthology throw, another one of these, in my little Likac minis, and I've chosen a blanket to knit with my adventure around the UK minis. So that's 2 more blankets going on the needles, and if I cast on the others, that will then make a total of 5 new blankets going on the needles. So I really need to get the blanket situation down a bit, I think, before I cast on the new ones. So perhaps I'll just concentrate on that and not worry about what I'm going to do with them. Maybe I'll just gather them all up, and then when the blanket pile has come down a little, I can think about what I'm going to do with those. It might be a better idea, I think. Okay. Is there anything else I need to witter on a bit about? No, I think I've done everything that was on my list. So, if you wouldn't mind, please, the link will be down below. If you can't find it, because I'm thinking of people who watch on their television. If you want to subscribe to Loopy Loop UK and help Chris meet her 1,000 subscriber target, but you can't access the description box, email me and I'll send you the link that way. It's mousesmakes@gmail.com, all lowercase. And yeah, let's just try and tick an item off her bucket list for her. She's a lovely lady, and she doesn't deserve to be going through such a rough time. So, okay. That's that then. I need to clear up the mess I've made. I've made quite a mess. And then have some lunch, because my tummy's about to rumble. So it's a little bit shorter today, but I feel like it's been very fast. There was quite a lot. I said to Dave yesterday, I've got quite a lot to show tomorrow. And he said, oh, it'll be a nice long one then. Well, apparently not, because I went... So I'm sorry about that. Just calm down. Right, I will see you next week. Thank you in advance for helping out a lovely lady. And, yeah, let me see if I can get all these socks. Of course, there'll be 2 new pairs going on 1st of February, so I need to get them off the needles, really, this week or next, don't I? Okay. Till I see you next week. Bye, guys.